Yeah, state and local governments are facing unprecedented budget challenges. We're looking at an enormous wave of budget shortfalls about to crest, which will lead to a devil's cocktail of devastating layoffs, dangerous cuts to public safety and essential services, and massive local tax increases. Any one of those ingredients alone threatens to make this economic crisis even worse, and the combination of all three is almost unthinkable. The Bureau of Labor Statistics just reported that state and local governments laid off nearly 1 million workers in the month of April. That's almost 1 million firefighters, police officers, teachers, emergency health personnel that should be on the front lines of the public health crisis, but are sidelined instead. So, Chairman Powell, let me just start by asking, do you agree that our economy will get worse if state and local governments are forced to lay off even more firefighters, police officers, teachers, and emergency health personnel?
Um, well, let me say what we are doing, Senator. We have a liquidity facility that is there to address the short-term liquidity needs that these entities have because of their loss of revenue due to the effects of the pandemic. And that's really the tool that we have to
I appreciate that, but that's not my question. My question is, if states, counties, municipalities continue on the path to lay off, we have a million laid off, even more. Uh, just from a economic situation, doesn't that make the economic recovery even worse?
essentially, yes, Senator. And we have the evidence of the global financial crisis and the years afterward where state and local government layoffs and lack of hiring did weigh on economic growth during the period.
Well, one of the tools we have to alleviate this problem is by using the money Congress provided in the CARES Act to bring down borrowing costs for our state and local governments so they can set the stage for a strong recovery. I was glad to see the Federal Reserve support local governments through the municipal lending facility, but frankly, I don't think it's enough. In a letter that Senators Tillis, Brown, and Murkowski sent to you and Secretary Mnuchin last week, we called on the Fed to establish another facility, one that would purchase medium and long-term municipal bonds both directly from issuers as well as on the secondary market, and thereby ensure our state and local governments can continue to finance key public services and invest in infrastructure and other areas to jumpstart our economy and get Americans back to work. Will you commit to work on that proposal that the senators sent to you?
Yes, we'll take a look at that, Senator. I will say though that our generally with 13.3, what we're trying to do is address liquidity needs, and those are really longer term funding needs. But notwithstanding that, we are taking a look.
No, I appreciate that. In a speech last week, Mr. Chairman, you said, quote, additional fiscal support could be costly, but worth it if it helps avoid long-term economic damage and leaves us with a stronger recovery. The trade-off is, of course, for our elected representatives. And, I agree. The hit to our states, cities, and counties is tremendous, and it's not just specific to my state of New Jersey. Projections released by Moody's reveals that every state in the nation is already or will soon face historic budget shortfalls. Just to pick a few examples, they found that Ohio and Arizona are each facing a fiscal shock totaling about 20% of their entire state budget. And for some states, the numbers are even worse, like West Virginia, which is facing a 40% fiscal shock. Like you said, the Fed can't be expected to solve all of our problems. Yesterday, I introduced SMART Act, which is a bipartisan, three Republicans, three Democrats, to provide $500 billion in direct support to our state and local governments. It's the first bipartisan bill of its kind in the Senate. And I think when we have colleagues from Mississippi, Louisiana, and Maine on the Republican side, it's not a partisan issue. Would that be the type of solution that can get us back in terms of the states into fiscal recovery?
Senator, we try to stick to our knitting over here, and you know that we've done what we can with the municipal liquidity facility, but those questions are really for elected representatives. And
Well, let me just close on this. A lot of minority-owned businesses are not getting access to the Paycheck Protection Program as we in Congress intended. I know the secretary has been receptive. I hope you will be receptive as well to allowing community development, financial institutions, and minority development institutions get greater access to these programs and to the lending facility set up on the CARES Act, so these funds can reach businesses in low income and underserved areas of our country. It's just still not happening. And I urge, the Secretary, I believe, has been rather receptive about this. I'd urge you, Mr. Chairman, to be receptive as well.